Ambassador Tay Wu walked through the wide halls of Harmony Prime Station with slow, careful steps. The station was huge, bigger than most cities on Earth. Ships from dozens of different worlds came here every day to trade and talk. For 3 years, Tay Wu had called this place home. He was not a tall man, but people noticed him when he entered a room. His dark hair was always neat, and his clothes were simple but clean. Tay Wu spoke softly, but when he talked, others listened. He had a gift for making enemies become friends. Sol Kim walked beside him, carrying a thick folder of papers. Sol had worked with Tay Wu for 2 years now. She had watched him solve problems that other diplomats said were impossible. The Velnari and the Thekmor had been fighting over mining rights for 50 years. Most people thought they would never stop fighting. The Velnari are angry again, Sul said as they walked. They say the Thekmor are stealing their water. Tay Wu nodded. They are scared. When people are scared, they get angry. We need to show them there is enough for everyone. The station was busy today. Traders moved boxes of goods from one ship to another. Children from different worlds played together in the common areas. This was what Tay Wu loved most about Harmony Prime. Here, different species could live and work together in peace, but not everyone wanted peace. War Speaker Gulthash of the Velnari watched the humans from across the main plaza. The Velnari looked like large fish that could walk on land. Their skin was blue-green and always wet. Gulthash was bigger than most Velnari, with sharp teeth and small dark eyes. He hated the humans. They were weak, he thought. They talked too much and fought too little. In the old days, strong species took what they wanted from weak ones. That was the natural way. But humans changed everything with their endless talking and their strange ideas about sharing. The human comes this way, said Gulthash to his aide, a young Velnari named Kreshmar. Today we end his interference. Kreshmar felt nervous. Are you sure this is right? The other leaders did not agree to this plan. The other leaders are weak, Gulthash said. They have forgotten what it means to be Velnari. After today they will remember. Tay Wu did not see the danger coming. He was thinking about the meeting he would have later with both Velnari and Thekmor leaders. He had a new idea that might work. If he could get them to share the mining profits based on how much work each group did, maybe they could both be happy. Ambassador, Sul said. Look, a young Velnari was walking toward them. The creature carried a small box in its hands. This was normal. Many species brought gifts when they wanted to talk to diplomats. Tay Wu smiled and walked forward to meet the young Velnari. Greetings, Tay Wu said in the Velnari language. He had learned to speak it well. What brings you to see me today? The young Velnari, Kreshmar, looked scared. His hands shook as he held the box. I bring greetings from my people, he said. Tay Wu noticed the fear in the young creature's voice. Are you all right? You seem worried about something. Kreshmar's eyes filled with water. In Velnari culture, this meant he was very upset. Forgive me, he whispered. Then he opened the box. Inside was a small device that looked like a flower. It was beautiful, with petals that glowed with soft light. But when the air touched it, the device began to change. It released a cloud of tiny particles that only affected humans. Sol Kim screamed as she saw what was happening. Tay Wu, get away from it! But it was too late. Tay Wu breathed in the particles before he could move. At first, nothing happened. He looked at Kreshmar with confusion, not anger. Even now, his first thought was to understand, not to blame. Why? He asked the young Velnari. Kreshmar dropped the box and ran away, crying. He had not wanted to do this, but War Speaker Gulthash had threatened to kill his family if he refused. The poison worked slowly. Tay Wu felt a burning pain in his chest. His legs became weak and he fell to his knees. Sol Kim ran to him and caught him before he hit the ground. Help, Sol shouted. Someone help us. People from many different species came running. A Thekmor doctor, whose body was made of living crystal, tried to help. But the poison was made specifically to kill humans. There was nothing anyone could do. Tay Wu's breathing became difficult. The pain was terrible, but he did not cry out. Instead, he looked up at Sol Kim with kind eyes. Tell them, he said with a weak voice. Tell them we tried to be better. Don't talk, Sul said, tears running down her face. Save your strength. But Tay Wu knew he was dying. The Velnari and Thekmor. They can still make peace. Do not let my death make things worse. Around them, a crowd had formed. Humans, Velnari, Thekmor, and many other species watched in shock. They had all known Tay Wu. He had helped many of them solve problems or settle arguments. He was a good man who had never hurt anyone. Suddenly, speakers all around the station came to life. War Speaker Gulthash's voice filled the air. "Let this be a lesson to all who hear me." His voice boomed. "The humans have made us weak with their endless talking and their soft ways. The galaxy belongs to the strong, not to those who hide behind words. This human paid the price for interfering with the natural order." The crowd became angry. Many species began shouting at once. Some demanded justice. Others were afraid that this meant war was coming. Tay Wu heard the war speaker's words. Even as he lay dying, his heart broke not from the pain, but from the knowledge that his death might cause the very violence he had spent his life trying to prevent. "Sol," he whispered, "promise me. Do not let them forget that we wanted peace." Sol Kim held his hand tightly. "I promise." Tay Wu smiled one last time. Then his eyes closed and he was gone. The news of his death would reach Earth in 6 hours. When it did, everything would change. The galaxy was about to learn what humans were really like when someone killed their peacemakers. But for now, Sol Kim sat on the floor of Harmony Prime Station, holding the body of the best man she had ever known, while around her the seeds of war began to grow. President Day Han was eating breakfast when the call came. He set down his coffee cup and listened as his aide told him the news. Ambassador Tay Wu was dead, murdered, poisoned by a Velnari assassin on Harmony Prime Station. Day Han felt something cold settle in his stomach. He had known Tay Wu personally. They had served together in the Earth Defense Force many years ago, before either of them became politicians. Tay Wu had been the one who convinced Day Han to try diplomacy instead of always using force. "Call an emergency meeting," Day Han said quietly. "Get everyone here in 2 hours." The Human Defense Council met in a room deep under the Capitol building. 12 of Earth's most important leaders sat around a long table. The air felt heavy with anger and sadness. General Q Lee was the first to speak. She was a small woman, but everyone feared her. She had never lost a battle. "We should hit them hard and fast," she said. "Show them what happens when they kill our people." "Wait," said Secretary Jin Park, who was in charge of foreign affairs. "We need to try diplomacy first." That is what Tay Wu would have wanted. "Tay Wu is dead," Q Lee said coldly. "Diplomacy got him killed." President Day Han raised his hand for quiet. "What do we know about the attack?" Admiral Wu Jin, head of Space Forces, opened a thick file. The assassin was a young Velnari named Kreshmar. He used a bioweapon designed specifically to kill humans. War Speaker Gulthash ordered the attack and broadcast a message taking credit for it. "What does the Galactic Confederation say?" President Day Han asked. Jin Park looked tired. "They are asking for calm. They want us to file a formal complaint and let them handle it through proper channels." General Q Lee laughed, but there was no humor in it. "Proper channels. They want us to fill out forms while our people die. What about the Velnari government?" Day Han asked. "They refused to hand over Gulthash," Jin Park said. "They claimed the attack was justified because we were interfering with their culture." The room became very quiet. Captain Nacho, who led Special Forces, spoke for the first time. "Sir, we have other problems. 3 more of our diplomatic missions have been attacked in the last 6 hours. Everyone turned to look at him. Admiral Wu Jin checked his messages. "Confirmed. Our people on Kepler Station, New Geneva, and the trade post at Wolf 359. All attacked. 15 humans dead, including 2 more ambassadors. Coordinated," General Q Lee said. "This was planned. The other species are watching to see what we do," Secretary Jin Park said. "If we respond with force, they might think we are too dangerous. We could lose all our alliances. If we do nothing, they will think we are weak," General Q Lee replied. "More of our people will die." President Day Han stood up and walked to the window. Outside, he could see the busy streets of Earth's capital. Normal people going about their normal lives. They did not know yet that everything was about to change. "What are our military options?" he asked. General Q Lee smiled. It was not a nice smile. "We have been preparing for this day since we joined the Confederation. We knew that someday someone would test us. Our ships are ready. Our soldiers are ready. We can hit 12 Velnari worlds at the same time." "How long would it take to win?" Day Han asked. 6 months, Admiral Wu Jin said. "Maybe less. They have never fought a real war. They think their size makes them strong, but they do not understand tactics." Secretary Jin Park looked scared. "If we attack them, other species might join against us." The whole galaxy could unite to stop us. Let them try, Captain Nacho said quietly. We have been holding back for too long. Time to show them what humans can really do. President Dahan turned back to face the table. In his mind, he could see Tay Wu's face. His old friend had believed that people could be better than their worst instincts. He had died trying to make peace between enemies. Contact the Velnari leadership one more time, Dahan said. Tell them they have 24 hours to hand over War Speaker Gulthash and everyone who helped plan these attacks. And if they refuse? General Q. Lee asked. Dahan's voice became hard as stone. Then we show them what unlimited warfare means. 23 hours later, the Velnari sent their answer. Not only would they not hand over Gulthash, but they promoted him to High War Speaker. They said the attacks were righteous acts of resistance against human cultural invasion. President Dahan stood before the cameras in the main hall of the Galactic Confederation building. Representatives from hundreds of species watched him. Sol Kim stood behind him, still wearing black clothes for Tay Wu's funeral. When Dahan spoke, his voice was calm and clear. But anyone who looked closely could see the anger burning in his eyes. 3 days ago, Ambassador Tay Wu was murdered while trying to make peace between the Velnari and Thekmor peoples. He was a good man who never hurt anyone. He believed that different species could work together and solve problems without violence. The hall was completely silent. Since then, the Velnari have murdered 15 more humans, including 2 ambassadors. They have refused to punish those responsible. Instead, they have rewarded them. Dahan paused and looked directly at the Velnari representatives. We came to you in peace. We offered you our best people to help solve your problems. You chose to answer diplomacy with murder. Very well. Humanity hereby declares a state of unlimited warfare against the Velnari hegemony and any who support them. Several species began talking at once, but Dahan raised his voice. We will not negotiate. We will not compromise. We will not stop until justice is complete. This is not conquest. This is justice for Tay Wu and all the others you have killed. The Velnari representative, a large creature named Morgash, stood up. You do not scare us, humans. You are weak. You hide behind words because you cannot fight. Dahan smiled. It was the same cold smile General Q. Lee had used in the meeting. You killed the wrong human, he said. Tay Wu was our best angel. Now you get to meet our demons. As he walked out of the hall, President Dahan activated a small device. Across human space on every world and every ship, the same message went out. Operation Tay Wu is now active. Show them no mercy. The war had begun. Captain Jin Park stood on the bridge of the warship Tay Wu's Justice and watched as his fleet prepared for battle. Around him, 50 human ships moved through space like deadly fish. Each ship was painted black with a white image of Ambassador Tay Wu on its side. The humans had shocked the galaxy with how fast they mobilized for war. In just 1 week, every human colony had turned into a weapons factory. Ships that carried trade goods yesterday now carried missiles and soldiers. The peaceful humans that other species knew had vanished, replaced by something much more dangerous. Sir, said Lieutenant Min-On from her station, we are approaching the Velnari outpost at Kepler 442. No signs that they know we are coming. Jin Park nodded. The Velnari had never fought humans before. They thought they knew what to expect. They were wrong. Begin recording, Jin Park said. I want everything filmed. Every shot, every explosion, every moment. The galaxy needs to see what happens when you murder our diplomats. On the planet below, War Speaker Drulkash was eating his morning meal when the alarm started. Through the windows of his command center, he could see black shapes moving across the sky. Human ships. Lots of them, how many? He asked his aide, Veltar. 50 ships, War Speaker. Maybe more. They appeared out of nowhere. Drulkash was not worried. The outpost had strong shields and heavy weapons. Humans were weak. Everyone knew that. Prepare to fire, he ordered. Let us show these soft creatures what real warriors can do. But the human ships did not attack the way Drulkash expected. Instead of flying straight at the outpost like brave warriors, they split up and attacked from 12 different directions at once. Some ships flew high, some flew low. Others came from the sides. The Velnari had never seen anything like it. They fight like cowards. Drulkash shouted. Stand and fight like warriors. Lieutenant Min-On heard him through the radio and laughed. She was leading a group of small, fast ships around the back of the outpost. We do not fight for honor, she said to her pilots. We fight to win. The human attack was perfect. While the big Velnari guns tried to track the fast ships, other human ships hit the power generators. The shields went down. Then the real attack began. Captain Jin Park did not just order his ships to destroy the outpost. He ordered them to take it apart piece by piece. First they destroyed the weapons, then the communication towers, then the landing pads. They wanted the Velnari inside to feel helpless and scared. "Sir," said his weapons officer, "they are trying to surrender." "Ignore them," Jin Park said coldly. "Keep firing. The Velnari had rules about war. When someone surrendered, you were supposed to stop fighting." But humans had their own rules now. As the outpost burned, human soldiers landed on the planet. They did not come to capture prisoners. They came to send a message. Colonel Tay led the ground forces. He was a quiet man who had loved reading Ambassador Tay Wu's reports about alien cultures. Seeing what the Velnari had done to his hero had changed him into something cold and angry. "Clear the outpost," he ordered his soldiers. "I want it empty in 1 hour." The Velnari defenders fought bravely, but they were not prepared for human tactics. Humans moved in small groups and attacked from unexpected directions. They used weapons that made no noise and armor that was hard to see. When the Velnari tried to fight them in open combat, the humans disappeared and attacked from somewhere else. Worse, the humans never seemed to get tired. Velnari needed to rest every few hours, but humans just kept fighting. Some of them had been awake for 2 days straight and still moved like they were fresh. When the fighting was over, Colonel Tay stood in the ruins of the command center. War Speaker Drulkash lay dead at his feet, killed while trying to destroy important files. "Begin construction," Tay ordered. His soldiers had brought special equipment with them. Working through the night, they built something the galaxy had never seen before. In the exact center of the destroyed outpost, they put up a tall monument made of black stone. On it was a picture of Ambassador Tay Wu and words in every galactic language. "He came in peace. You chose war." But the monument was not the worst part. Around it, the humans left speakers that played a recording over and over. It was the sound of Tay Wu dying, mixed with War Speaker Gulthash's voice claiming credit for the murder. Any Velnari who came to this world would hear Ambassador Tay Wu's last words and remember what their people had done. The attack on Kepler 442 was just the beginning. Admiral Q Lee had planned attacks on 12 Velnari worlds at the same time. Each attack was different, but they all ended the same way: complete human victory and a new monument to Tay Wu. On the water world of Velnara Prime, Captain Wu Jin used ships that could go underwater. The Velnari thought they were safe in their deep ocean cities, but human submarines appeared like ghosts and destroyed their defenses. On the crystal mines of Hector 7, Major Lee Day used special weapons that turned Velnari technology against itself. Their own computers started attacking them. The Velnari had never experienced anything like human warfare. Other species fought for territory or resources. Humans fought for something else entirely. They fought for the memory of a good man who had died trying to help their enemies. High War Speaker Gulthash watched the reports from his command ship and felt something he had never felt before: fear. In 1 week, humans had destroyed 1/4 of his military force. They had not tried to capture territory or steal resources. They had simply destroyed everything and left monuments to their dead diplomat. "How is this possible?" he asked his generals. "They are supposed to be weak." General Morkesh, who had fought many wars, looked at the tactical reports with confusion. "They do not fight like any species I know. They do not care about honor or glory. They only care about winning, and they are very, very good at it. We need allies," Gulthash said. "Contact the Thekmor. Tell them the humans will come for them next." But when they tried to call the Thekmor, they got a strange answer. The crystal being said they were neutral in this conflict. They would not help either side. This was a lie. The truth was that the Thekmor were terrified. They had been planning to help the Velnari, but after seeing what humans could do, they wanted no part of this war. As reports of human victories spread across the galaxy, other species began to worry. If humans could destroy the Velnari so easily, what could they do to anyone else? President Day Han sat in his office on Earth and read the daily reports. Every day brought news of another human victory. Every day brought another monument to Tay Wu. "Are we doing the right thing?" asked Secretary Jin Park, who still believed in diplomacy. Day Han looked at a picture on his desk. It showed him and Tay Wu as young soldiers, laughing at some joke he could not remember. Tay Wu believed that people could be better, he said quietly. He died because he believed that. Now the galaxy gets to see what happens when you kill someone who believes in peace. The war was far from over, but already the galaxy was learning an important lesson. Humans were only peaceful when you let them be. Take that peace away and you would discover what they really were underneath. And what they were underneath was absolutely terrifying. The Galactic Confederation Assembly was in chaos. Representatives from hundreds of species shouted at each other, while humans sat quietly in their section, watching. It had been 3 months since the war began, and the Velnari were losing badly. Ambassador Sol Kim now spoke for humanity in the assembly. She wore the same black clothes she had worn to Tay Wu's funeral. Every day she came to this hall and listened to other species demand that humans stop their war. "This has gone far enough," shouted Councillor Vextar of the Regelian Union. "The humans are not just fighting the Velnari anymore. They are destroying everything." This was true. Human fleets now attacked any ship that carried supplies to Velnari worlds. They had declared that helping the Velnari in any way was the same as helping murderers. "The Velnari are starving," said Representative Golmek of the Traders Alliance. "Their children are dying." Sol Kim stood up slowly. The whole assembly became quiet. When she spoke, her voice was calm but cold. "Ambassador Tay Wu had no children," she said, "but he loved all children, even Velnari children. He spent his last months trying to make sure they would have enough food and water. They killed him for it." "That was War Speaker Gulthash," Vextar replied. "Not all Velnari are guilty." "Where is Gulthash now?" Sol Kim asked. The assembly became silent. Everyone knew the answer. High War Speaker Gulthash was safe on the Thekmor homeworld. The crystal beings had secretly given him sanctuary, even though they claimed to be neutral. "The Thekmor say they know nothing about him," Golmek said weakly. Sol Kim smiled. It was not a warm smile. "Then they will not mind when we come looking for him." Later that day, President Day Han announced that the war was expanding. The Thekmor Crystalline Republic was now considered an enemy of humanity for hiding Gulthash. The crystal beings panicked. They sent urgent messages to Earth saying it was all a misunderstanding. They offered to surrender Gulthash immediately. President Day Han's response was broadcast across the galaxy. "You had 3 months to do the right thing. You chose to hide a murderer instead. There will be consequences." Admiral Q Lee commanded the attack on the Thekmor worlds. The crystal beings thought their technology would protect them. They were wrong. Human engineers had spent months studying Thekmor technology. They learned that the crystal beings used sound waves to power their cities and ships. So humans built weapons that created the wrong kind of sound. Captain Nacho led the first attack on Crystallos, the Thekmor capital world. Her ships did not fire normal weapons. Instead, they broadcast special sound frequencies that made Thekmor technology destroy itself. The crystal beings watched in horror as their beautiful cities began to crack and crumble. Their own technology turned against them, breaking apart like glass hit by a hammer. "Surrender," broadcast the Thekmor leader Prime Crystal Veltheon. "We surrender." "You should have thought of that before you helped a murderer," Captain Nacho replied. Her ships kept broadcasting the destructive sounds. On the ground, Thekmor civilians ran in panic as their homes fell apart around them. But humans did not hurt the civilians. They only destroyed military targets and government buildings. Every broken crystal carried the same message. This is what happens when you help those who kill our people. Meanwhile, General Li Day was having different problems. The Mantoid Collective had decided to help the Velnari by sending weapons and supplies. The Mantoids were insect-like creatures who thought in groups instead of as individuals. This made them very dangerous enemies. Individual Mantoids were not very smart, but when they worked together they could solve almost any problem. Their ships were fast and hard to track, but humans had learned to adapt. General Li Day did not try to fight the Mantoid fleets directly. Instead, he attacked their queens. Mantoids needed their queens to tell them what to do. Without queens, the individual insects became confused and helpless. Human Special Forces teams snuck onto Mantoid worlds and captured the queens without hurting them. Then they made the Queen's Order, their own people, to stop helping the Velnari. "This is not honorable warfare," protested the Mantoid representative in the assembly. Colonel Wu Jin, who had led the mission, was asked to explain. "Honor is for people who do not murder diplomats," he said. "We use whatever works." The galaxy was learning that humans fought differently than anyone else. Other species had rules about war. Humans had only one rule: win. Dr. Min Cho led a team of scientists who created new weapons for each enemy. When they fought the aquatic Velnari, they used weapons that poisoned water. When they fought the crystal Thekmor, they used sound weapons. When they fought the insect mantoids, they used pheromones that confused their communications. How did they do it so fast? Asked scientist Grelnox of the academic consortium. It should take years to develop these weapons. They do it in weeks. The answer was something the galaxy did not understand about humans. When humans were angry enough, they could work without stopping. Human scientists stayed awake for days, fueled by coffee and rage. Human engineers built new weapons while crying for their dead diplomat. Ambassador Tay Wu had become more than just a symbol. He had become the reason humans fought. Every new weapon was built in his memory. Every battle was fought for his justice. The war spread to more species. The sulfur breathers sent medical supplies to Velnari worlds. Human ships found them and destroyed every supply convoy. The silicon crawlers provided safe passage through their territory. Human marines captured their space stations and left monuments to Tay Wu on each one. Each time a new species joined the war against humanity, they learned the same lesson. Humans did not fight to conquer. They fought to punish, and they were very good at both. On Earth, President Dai Han met with his generals every morning. The walls of his office were now covered with maps showing human victories. Red pins marked every world where they had left a monument to Tay Wu. The Regelian Union is asking for a peace conference, reported Secretary Jin Park. What are our terms? Asked General Q Lee. President Dai Han looked at Tay Wu's picture on his desk. His old friend smiled back at him from happier days. Total surrender of all Velnari leadership, he said. Public trials for everyone involved in murdering our people. Monuments to Tay Wu on every world that helped them. And every species that fights us pays to rebuild everything they forced us to destroy. Sir, said Admiral Wu Jin carefully, those terms are very harsh. Some species might choose to keep fighting rather than accept them. Dai Han's smile was cold as winter. Then they will learn what unlimited warfare really means. The galaxy was beginning to understand that humans meant exactly what they said. They would not stop until every person responsible for Tay Wu's death was punished. They would not negotiate. They would not compromise. They would only fight, and they would keep fighting until justice was done. And the truly terrifying thing was how good they were at it. 6 months after the war began, High War Speaker Gulthash sat in chains on Harmony Prime Station. The same place where he had ordered Ambassador Tay Wu's murder was now his prison. Human guards stood around him, silent and watchful. The great hall of Harmony Prime had been turned into a courtroom. Representatives from every species in the galaxy had come to watch the trials. But this was not like the old Galactic Confederation meetings. Now humans sat at the high table where judges sat. Everyone else was there to observe. President Dai Han himself had come to see justice done. He sat in the front row, wearing the same uniform he had worn as a young soldier when he served with Tay Wu. Behind him sat Sol Kim and the families of all the humans who had died. Admiral Q Lee stood at the prosecutor's table. She held a thick file of evidence. The Velnari had kept detailed records of their plans to murder human diplomats. They had been proud of their victory over human weakness. Gulthash of the Velnari, Admiral Q Lee said in a voice that filled the hall. You are charged with the murder of Ambassador Tay Wu and 15 other humans. You planned these murders. You ordered them. You celebrated them. How do you plead? Gulthash looked around the hall. 6 months ago he had felt strong and proud. Now he looked old and broken. The human war had destroyed everything he had built. His people were defeated. His allies had abandoned him. I plead that I was defending my people from human interference, he said weakly. Admiral Q Lee walked to a large screen at the front of the hall. She played a recording of Gulthash's own words from the day Tay Wu died. Let this be a lesson to all who hear me. The humans have made us weak with their endless talking and their soft ways. The galaxy belongs to the strong, not to those who hide behind words. The recording played Tay Wu's final moments, his pain, his kindness even as he died, his last words asking that his death not lead to more violence. Many species in the hall looked away. They could not bear to watch a good man die. This is what you called strength, Admiral Q Lee said to Gulthash. Murdering a man who came to help you. Poisoning someone who only wanted peace. The trial lasted 3 days. Witness after witness told the court about Ambassador Tay Wu's work. They spoke of his kindness, his patience, his hope that different species could live together peacefully. Then they heard from the survivors of the attacks Gulthash had ordered. Human diplomats who had barely escaped death. Families of those who had not been so lucky. When Sol Kim took the stand, the hall became completely silent. Tay Wu believed in all of you, she said, looking at the representatives from different species. He thought that if people just talked to each other, they could solve any problem. He died still believing that. Even as the poison killed him, he asked me to tell everyone that we had tried to be better. She turned to look directly at Gulthash. He was wrong about one thing, though. Some people cannot be reasoned with. Some people only understand force. The verdict was unanimous. Gulthash and his co-conspirators were found guilty of murder and crimes against peace. The sentence was death, but President Dae Han stood up before the sentence could be carried out. I have a different punishment in mind, he said. Death is too easy, too quick. Instead, Gulthash and the others were sent to work camps on the worlds they had destroyed. They would spend the rest of their lives building monuments to the people they had killed. Every day they would see Ambassador Tay Wu's face carved in stone. Every day they would remember what their choices had cost. The war was over, but the galaxy had changed forever. Humans now controlled the most powerful military force anyone had ever seen. More importantly, they had shown that they would use it without mercy against anyone who threatened their people. The Galactic Confederation was reformed with humans in charge. The new rules were simple. Any attack on human personnel anywhere would result in total war against the attacker and anyone who helped them. Species that had fought against humanity during the war paid heavy prices. The Techmore gave up half their territory to build human colonies. The Mantoid Collective surrendered their entire fleet and were forbidden from building new warships. The smaller species that had helped the Velnari lost their voting rights in the new government, but humans were not cruel rulers. Species that had stayed neutral or helped humanity were rewarded. The aquatic builders, who had refused to help the Velnari, received new trade agreements that made them rich. The desert walkers, who had provided intelligence about Velnari movements, were given protection for their merchant fleets. Admiral Q. Lee became the first Supreme Commander of Galactic Defense. Her job was to make sure that no one ever again made the mistake of thinking humans were weak. General Lee Day was put in charge of the new Human Expansion Authority. Humans began claiming new worlds aggressively, always in the name of Tay Wu's legacy. No one dared to object. Captain Nacho founded the Tay Wu Institute for Diplomatic Security. Every human diplomat now traveled with heavily armed guards. The Institute's motto was carved above every entrance: peace through superior firepower. But the most important change was not political or military. It was psychological. Every species in the galaxy now knew what humans were really like when someone hurt their people. On Harmony Prime Station, in the exact spot where Ambassador Tay Wu had died, humans built the largest monument in galactic history. It was a towering structure made of black stone and white crystal, visible from space. Tay Wu's image looked out over the main plaza, peaceful and kind. But around the base of the monument were smaller carvings, images of human warships, pictures of destroyed Velnari worlds, recordings of enemies begging for mercy. The inscription read, "To Ambassador Tay Wu, who believed in peace. To his enemies who taught us war. Let all who pass remember. Humanity offers the hand of friendship first, but if you strike that hand, you will face the fist." Sol Kim became the new human ambassador to the Galactic Confederation. Every day she walked past Tay Wu's monument on her way to work. She carried his dream of peace, but she also carried the memory of what happened to those who destroyed it. The galaxy was at peace now, but it was a different kind of peace than Tay Wu had imagined. It was peace built on fear and respect, not love and understanding. Children from every species learned about Ambassador Tay Wu in school. They learned that he was a good man who tried to help others. They also learned what happened to the people who killed him. The lesson was simple and clear. Humans would give you every chance to be better. They would offer friendship, help, and understanding. But if you chose violence instead, if you hurt their people, if you mistook their kindness for weakness, then you would discover what lay beneath their peaceful nature. And what lay beneath was the most terrifyingly effective war machine the galaxy had ever seen. The age of human diplomacy was over. The age of human dominance had begun, And it had all started with the murder of one good man who only wanted to help.